show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, it's part of the show. Didn't they teach you to reach for the stars while opening up the bars and keeping you chained down with mortgage bills and cars? Vaccines for your arms, kids sounding like supercharged, caffeinated hate-filled scars and rage-quit repertoires. No answers for yards, caught up in emotion that's not even yours. Imposter truths like impeccable retards, lined up for your serving of Gish Galloping wars. No remedy can't save the lost, in love with the yarn. I'm tired of walking into refracted shards, poor science displayed by disgusting bards. Soaked in sin with your dupe is delight in a new hand of cards. Been so long, seems like for love I'm just too hard, I'm just too hard, that's it. Welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know. Intoxicated eight makes you believe you're spinning in space while you have no shame or grace. It's a disdainful state I used to contemplate, how to save myself from my own self-hate. Wonder why I was even made with a dreadful fate, forced to try and awake with a full plate. No one to help me stay awake or educate. I've had to liberate and fight through hidden gates. But my brother, heaven could never be late, and rockets don't work in space. It's all fake, the show is on Mars. It's a joke, but you're too far gone, it won't be long. Fepe's beak is strong. We have our song and we march along like streams of knowledge leading to God's holy pond, and lives of truth that hits the bong and sings the song, turns mankind from the wrong. We come in peace with a holy gown and all of us wearing our holy crowns. Said the earth is flat and we probably just won't get along, just to go along. I said, welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know.
Before we get into our regular scheduled program, I'm going to run a clip from one of my favorite shows. I hope it becomes one of yours. You can find a link to it in the description box below. This is Ironworks.
Good morning, GFR. Good morning, Truth Frequency Radio. You are listening to the Ironworks. My name is Josh Corey. I am joined this morning by my good friend and my co-host, one Mr. Walter Johnson. Walt, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, or should I say, oi, oi, oi. If that music didn't get you ready for a day, I don't know what will. Josh, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm better than I deserve, Walt. Better than I deserve. I am really looking forward to this morning's episode. I think it's going to be good.
We're excited. We have an amazing guest, Martin Leakus, sir, flat earth British, mud, flood, historian extraordinaire. I'll stop blowing smoke, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ironworks. We're so glad to have you.
Good morning, gentlemen. Walt, Josh, Adam. Good morning. Many blessings to you. That was epic.
Welcome you don't know if it's part of the show.
Welcome to Red Hen Radio, where truth fears no investigation. What do you know? What do you believe? Who are you? Where did you come from? Where are you going? How will you determine the way? What you think is news for you is only and absolutely propaganda. It's spin. There is no news for you. Only misdirection and disinformation. Join us here at Red Hen Radio as we discover how to squint when what we see isn't what ought to be. Because truth is not counterintuitive. Reading between the lines of the story you were just fed. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Welcome to the show. Do you know that you're part of the show?
Well, you don't know if it's part of the show.
Welcome back to another exciting adventure of Red Hen Radio. I'm your host, Travis Finley. I am also the subject of this episode teaser. I was arrested last Saturday, January 5th, 2019. I was arrested. This is the beginning of that journey, of that adventure, of that struggle, of that trial. So what you're going to hear right now is just a brief introduction, hopefully to tantalize you, hopefully to draw you in, hopefully to manipulate. I'll say it. I'm trying to manipulate you. Trying to play upon your heartstrings. I don't know where this is going to lead. I might need your help. I don't know. I could go to prison. I could XYZ. I'm going to have to devote time to follow up with the poop that I started, right? I made this decision. Just this decision. I decided to go down this road. So this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the beginning. Thank you for tuning in to Red Hen Radio, where truth does not fear investigation, where we trust our senses, where we question our sources, and where we resist consensus. If you and I were to have a conversation about the right to travel, it would be common sense. Yeah, I should be able to go to point A, to point B, to point C, D, X, Y, Z, unencumbered. But that's not the world in which we live. How do we change it? I don't know. Because it hasn't changed in 30 years, 50 years, or 10 years. How do we know that what we know is 10 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old? I don't know. So, all we can do is right here, right now. So what I'm asking of you right now, my brand new listener, because the channel is only a couple weeks old, a month old maybe. What do I ask of you? I ask that you subscribe. I ask that you share. I ask that you like, so that this can get out. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't want it to go viral. That's not my point. My point is that if you have never thought of these things, if you have never thought about standing up for yourself when you've been arrested at the side of the road, right? If you stop to allow a police officer, if you stop to allow a policy officer, if you stop, you are under arrest. You have been stopped against your will. First thing you should do is slip a card out your window and say, my time is $100 an hour, starting right now. I'm going to bill you for this time. What's your probable cause? Where's your warrant? And then you shut up. You don't say anything. And if he keeps talking to you, where is your probable cause? What? Yeah, reverse that. It's late. It's like 3 in the morning. What is your probable cause? Where is your warrant? If you don't have those things, I don't have to talk to you. Right? Let that sink in. I want this to be a step for you, whoever you are, listening to the sultry sound of my voice. Whoever you are, I want you to know you can stand up on your own 2 feet. Even if they don't listen, even if they kick you back down, metaphorically or physically, stand up for yourself. Stand up and say, where's your probable cause? Do you see a crime being committed? Do you see me committing a crime? Then leave me alone. Leave me alone. Listen to me. Let this sink into your head. It is common sense. Common sense. If I have not if I have not damaged you physically or your property, what are we here for? What are we talking about? Do you have a complaint? Is there a conflict? No? Okay. Have a good day. Bye. Thanks. We live in a system where we are told that codes and statutes rule and reign our lives. Stand up and defend yourself. Codes and statutes do not have anything to do with you. It has to do with the false construct that you have been trained to respond to. That when a police officer pulls you over and says, you ran that red light, you say, okay, I'm sorry. And he writes you a ticket, and you show up and you pay the ticket, and you give them money because you don't know any better. This is the beginning of your wake-up call in this regard. Those codes and violations have nothing to do with you. Nothing. It has to do with a completely different situation, a different construct, a different mindset. And the only way it has to do with you is if you identify yourself with it. It's that simple. If you stand outside that construct, willingly and knowingly, you can maneuver. You can adjust. You can apply what is common sense. I ran that red light. Did I kill anybody? Did I damage any property? No? Then leave me alone. Oh no, you violated Code XYZ.423. It's that simple. It really is. It's a will to power. They are willing to power. If you have not hurt anyone, if you have not damaged anyone's property, there's no moral obligation for you to worry about the ticket, to worry about the citation. What you are about to experience, I think, should, if you haven't been exposed to it already, blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Because it's so simple. It's common sense. It's like, yeah, that's the way it should be. But it's not. It's not the way it should be. It's the way it is. So we have to live within that. We have to figure it all out. So, here it is. This is what it is. It is what it is. Trust your senses. Question your sources. Resist consensus. I'm your host on Red Hen Radio, Travis Finley.
Being recorded,
okay.
So yeah, it'll be a fun little talk, So what have you been up to? It's been a while.
I know, Travis. It's been crazy. I'm down in SoCal, and I went to Malibu. I went to a meeting up there. It was being launched by some lawyers who are trying to inform the people about, what their options are now that they are able to go back to their homes. And it sounds like it's the same exact narrative as it was up in Paradise. They're giving them the exact same thing. Edison, Southern California, Edison is responsible for this fire. We plan and intend to sue them. And here are your options. If you take a settlement from the insurance company, here's what you lose, and blah, 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 blah. So
Hey, Shelley.
Yeah.
I have another phone call coming in that I absolutely have to
take.
I'm
Take it.
so
No
sorry.
worries.
So
I'll talk
sorry.
to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like it's going. Oh man. So your email to me is very interesting, and I feel like I would be ill-equipped to go in only with that. So I have questions about it. Do you have any references that I can look up and at least maybe read some things to familiarize myself with what you sent me? Or
Do you have the stuff I sent you from Zeke? The way Zeke does it, what he taught me is you do it, basically, you're actually sticking with the law. The law is that cop needed a warrant to pull you over, which he didn't have a warrant. He didn't have a signed warrant to pull you over. Or he needed probable cause, which means he witnessed you committing a crime. You injured somebody or you hit somebody's car and took off, which you didn't do, okay? You got pulled over for a code infraction, all right? You didn't commit a crime. It's a code infraction.
Okay, so let me stop you. Let me stop you with that, because that was the tact I took back in the summer when I was first pulled over with my private plates. And the cop pulled me over, and he said, I pulled you over because you don't have registered plates. And I said something along the lines, do you have any evidence that those codes apply to me? And but before we got there, I did do that. I said, "Is there an emergency I can help you with?"
Right.
And he said, "No, there's no emergency. I pulled you over for blah blah blah." And I said, "What was your probable cause?" And he said, "Well, you don't have any registered plates." I said,
That's not probable cause.
I said, "That's not a crime." He said, "Yes, it is."
No, that's not probable cause. So what you do is, see, he don't know, and you're not gonna get anywhere debating with the cop at the side of the road. So you just say, okay, you just end the conversation at that point. Where say, okay, Gad, write me up. Give me your citation, write me up, because what you're going to do is when you go into court or before you go into court, like that letter I gave you, you send a letter to the judge and you send copies to the district attorney and the cop who wrote you up. And the main question you want to ask is,
All right, so I've decided to just give you snippets just to whet your appetite and give me some time to try to think through how I'm going to present this material to you. I hope that this is intriguing to you already. I hope that if you haven't thought about these things, and if you have, I would love for your interaction. I'll try to interact as much as I can on comments and whatnot, but I just don't know that I can devote that kind of time. It's hard enough to put this together. This has taken, a lot of time to just cut and splice and get things ready and hopefully present it to you in a tangible way, an appealing way. So here it is. That's what you've got right now. I'm going to try to put more out for you. I'm going to give you more details on my story. And thanks for listening. And please subscribe, share, like, make comments so that we can use the community together and work through this and see where we can go and see how we can make changes. So, all right, there you go. All right, so what follows right now is just an excerpt from another podcast where a former sheriff's deputy who is now involved in a radio program where he helps people with the fraud that is our transportation system.
Okay, so people they can call into the show or email the show and let you know their problems, and you guys will dig into it and give them an answer on the air?
If it's something that we can access right there on the air, yes. My show is on Monday nights from 8 to 10, and most of it is spent answering phone calls for people. They'll call in and let me know how their cases are going and ask what they should do next and things like that. And so we'll give them information about, well, go check this, and this should be the next step in the process, and go from there.
Well, that's an awesome service. That's a talk show that actually gets things done. I like that.
Well, thank you.
I did want to pivot here a little bit, and I do want to talk about what you talked about on the Tom Woods Show, interaction with police. And there's a script that you put together. I think it can be found at, correct me if I'm wrong, it's logosradionetwork.com/TAO. And there's a script there, very extensive. And I do want to ask you, I guess first, before we get started talking about the script, where did the drive to put this together come from? Was this just a body of work over time that you kind of accumulated, or was there some incidents that triggered you to want to put this together?
Well, while I was working as a deputy sheriff, I was also studying the statutes for law enforcement. Unlike most law enforcement, I don't just take what I'm taught by someone or in a classroom. I tend to want to see things for myself. And I found out that a lot of the things they were using in the transportation code, like everything else, they are fraudulently applying to the general public. And they are using it to deprive the individuals of their rights. They're using statutes to say you have to waive your right and provide this information. You have to waive your right and let them do this and blah, blah, blah. And I don't see how statutes can do that. So the script is an embodiment of Supreme Court case law, United States Supreme Court case law, on individual rights. Even in cases where the state is demanding that you answer questions or produce documents, you have the right to remain silent if they can charge you with a crime for the information they get from you. And here in Texas, that's exactly how they treat these administrative statutes, as if they're crimes. and they use that to steal money from you and everything else. So the script is a collective works of case law interpretations on the right to remain silent, the right to demand legal counsel, and anything else before you answer questions or provide any information to the police or the government in general. So that's what the script is for, to teach you what your rights are, even in a traffic stop, if your state treats it as a criminal activity.
Okay, let's talk through a hypothetical traffic stop, and maybe you can help to pinpoint the area where I'll be the person that you're pulling over, where I first give up my rights. So let's say I'm, driving down the road, the lights come on behind me, I pull over, you come up to the window, and you would say something like what?
Excuse me, sir, do you know why I pulled you over today?
No, I don't.
Well, you were going 70 and a 60 back there, and I clocked you doing that. And so I need to see your license, registration, and proof of financial responsibility, please.
Okay, I'm digging around my glove compartment. I hand that over to you.
Okay, there's your first mistake.
Okay, what follows right now is the rest of my discussion, well, not the rest, part of my discussion with supposedly Shelley. I didn't introduce her earlier, but supposedly Shelley is an independent journalist, researcher, reporter who lives in California. She's been working with Jamie Lee, who is the host of the YouTube channel aplaintruth.info, A-P-L-A-N-E, truth.info, and he's been reporting on so many things, but the California fires primarily, and 5G, and yeah. So this is my discussion with Shelley, where I catch her up to speed with my story, and so that's what follows right now. That's it. There you go. Here it comes.
Think about what happened. It's just so many. It's like the shell game,
Yeah.
So what's going on with you?
Oh, well, this week has been just a whirlwind. I'm reaping the whirlwind of my decision not to register my car. So back last year, I got divorced in May, but I was out on my own since January. So I bought 2 cars for myself. I bought a truck, I bought a Mini, and I didn't register them. And ran into some citations I didn't pay because I just decided I'm not gonna play this game. I'm just gonna stop right now. I know that I don't know everything that I'm doing, but I know enough that I'm just not gonna play this game anymore. I'm gonna learn how to fight, and I'm gonna stand up. And so that whole Mark Stevens stuff that you and I talked about, was. I've been looking at that and researching that. And so this Saturday, I'm driving to work, and my Mini's not tagged, and so I get pulled over. Well, I also was driving on a suspended license because I didn't pay my citations. So they suspended my license.
Wow.
So, I was riding, a couple of, I think that happened right before the Denver conference. So I got suspended that week of the Denver conference. So I was just, driving 2 months on a suspended license and just minding my P's and Q's, stopping and not driving excessively and, making sure that I wasn't crossing any lines because I didn't want to draw any attention to myself. Well, anyway, so the cop pulled me over, and I don't know if you've seen any videos on interacting with cops on the side of the road and whatnot, but, basically I said, when he walked up, I said, "Is there an emergency I can help you out with, officer?" And he said, "I pulled you over because you don't have any license plates." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Is there an emergency I can help you with? Do you need my help?" And he's like, "No, can I have your license and registration?" And I said, "Well, do you have probable cause?"
Oh,
he said, "Yeah, you don't have your car tags." I said, "Well, do you have a warrant?" And he said, well, I don't need a warrant. I have probable cause. I said, well, is there a crime?
Right.
And he said, yeah, you don't have license plate. I said, well, there's no injured party. There's no damage to any property. How is there a crime? He said, your crime is in the fact that you don't have your car license. And so, I just kept making the point. I said, well, is there an emergency that I can help you with? Am I being detained, or am I free to go? And he said, I need to see your license and registration. And then I said, my papers are my property, and the Fourth Amendment allows me the right to preserve my property. And so I'm just going to keep those. I'm just going to hold on to those. He's like, I need to see your license and registration. And I said, well, not that I would incriminate myself, but, the Fifth Amendment allows me the right not to incriminate myself by offering any of my property up or speaking in a way that would incriminate myself. So I'm just going to reserve my rights that way.
Right.
So he called back up and he handed it off to his superior. So the superior came, and he was not happy. He was not happy that I was refusing to give my driver's license over. The first cop made his way over to the side of my car on the passenger side and extended his baton and was waving and was flicking his wrist like a tennis player waiting for the serve, and he was going to smash my window open.
Oh my gosh! Did you have this on recording?
And he was looking at me like, come on, buddy, just give me, I'm just waiting for the go-ahead from my superior, and I'm going to smash your window open. So I said, ho, ho, ho. I said, am I being threatened with violence right now? Am I being threatened? Is he threatening me with violence?
Right.
And I'm recording the whole time. I've got my phone out.
Thank God.
I've got my phone out, and I'm recording. And and they knew I was recording. And the officer said, well, you can either come out of the car on your own, or we're going to drag you out. And I said, well, look, all I'm doing is, exhibiting my right to remain silent. He's like, I don't need you to speak. I just want you to give me your license. And I said, well, that's speaking to a certain extent. And he said, look, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he reached into my window, grabbed my window with both of his hands, and hunched his shoulders like he was going to rip the window out of the door.
Oh my God.
And at that point I'm like, okay, ho, here's my license. Because,
oh my God, that's duress.
I didn't want, right, yeah, that's what I was doing too. I was like, I am under duress. I am under duress.
Yes.
I wasn't yelling, but I was speaking loudly so everybody could hear me, right?
Right.
So I handed in my license, and I was screwed after that because I was driving on a suspended license. I should have just called his bluff and said, tear my window open. Tear my window open. That's my private property. I'm suing your ass.
Yes.
My property.
I know, but you felt threatened. You felt threatened. I know.
But anyway, so he comes back and he's like, you're driving under a suspended license, and that's an arrestable offense. You're under arrest. And you can either come out of the car on your own, or we can drag you out. So at that point, I got out of the car. They did not read me my rights.
Whoa.
They handcuffed me.
Wow. So you just
didn't
won.
read me my rights.
You just won.
Yeah.
You got it all on recording? Did you get it on recording?
No, they confiscated my phone, and they are probably going to erase everything.
Why?
They took my phone. So when I was being processed, they were like, here's your property, but we're keeping your phone. I'm like, excuse me?
Oh,
that's my property.
God.
They said, yes, well, you created evidence. And I'm like, damn straight I did. And they're like, well, you created evidence, so we have to get a warrant to... I said, don't you need the warrant before you can seize my phone?
Oh.
And so, that's where it's at right now.
Do you have a lawyer?
No, I'm defending myself.
Yeah.
I'm defending myself. But the guy that I got off the phone with you earlier for, man, he gave me absolute gold, Shelley.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much for listening. I want to hear from you. I hope that you will spread the word and share this, subscribe it, encourage people to listen so that we can, again, like I said this, I can't remember. That whole file is just cut and spliced. I don't even know if I'm repeating myself right now. So thank you so much for listening. I'm your host here on Red Hen Radio, Travis Finley. Trust your senses. Question your sources. Resist consensus. Until next time.
Didn't they teach you to reach for the stars while opening up the bars and keeping you chained down with mortgage bills and cars? Vaccines for your arms, kids sounding like supercharged, caffeinated hate-filled scars and rage-quit repertoires. No answers for yards, caught up in emotion that's not even yours. Imposter truths like impeccable retards, lined up for your serving of gish galloping wars. No remedy can save the lost, in love with the yarn. I'm tired of walking into refracted shards, poor science displayed by disgusting bards. Soaked in sin with your dupe is the light in a new hand of cards. Been so long, seems like for love I'm just too hard, I'm just too hard, that's it. Welcome to the show, where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know. Intoxicated 8 makes you believe you're spinning in space while you have no shame or grace. It's a disdainful state I used to contemplate how to save myself from my own self-hate. Wonder why I was even made with a dreadful fate, forced to try and awake with a full plate. No one to help me stay awake or educate. I've had to liberate and fight through hidden gates, but my brother, heaven could never be late, and rockets don't work in space. It's all fake. The show is on Mars. It's a joke, but you're too far gone. It won't be long. Fepe's beak is strong. We have our song and we march along like streams of knowledge leading to God's holy pond, and lives of truth that hits the bong and sings the song that turns mankind from the wrong. We come in peace with a holy gown and all of us wearing our holy crowns. So the earth is flat and we probably just won't get along. Just to go along, I said, welcome to the show, where you don't know if it's part of the show.